Macca's Guides.
Hey everyone, Macca here, and welcome to my 100% full game walkthrough for Somerville. I'm just going to start the game as there is a little bit of an intro sequence. I'm going to talk through it though and give you everything you need to know. In this video, which is probably around 3 hours long, I'm going to go through the entire game, solve all of the puzzles. We're going to grab all of the achievements that you can miss, all 10 of the collectibles, and I'm going to grab all 5 or 4 of the endings, depending on how you count them. I'm also going to obviously solve all the puzzles and kind of explain the gameplay and what you have to do in each section so you can get through the game in a reasonable amount of time. I think this video is going to be about 3 hours long, but I am recording this kind of live, so whatever the video is, it is. That's how long it'll take. There will be no editing unless I really need to. But for the next couple of hours, we can sit down, relax, spend some time together, and hopefully get through this game. The goal is that by the end of this video, you will have your 1000 gamer score, and should this game ever come out on the PlayStation in the future, as it is a timed console exclusive, you will also be able to hopefully grab a platinum trophy. It is available on Xbox Game Pass, and personally, I enjoyed this game a lot. I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10, maybe even an 8.5 out of 10, although the reviews have been a little bit mixed. The controls can be a little bit janky, and for some people, the puzzles aren't as fun as for others. So I've seen some really high-end reviews around the 9s, but I've also seen some low ends in the 6s and in the 7s. I personally think this game is really worth playing through at least once, and there is a little bit of open to interpretation storytelling. This is created by some of the same people who worked on Limbo and Inside. It is not made by Play Dead, but some of the people in Play Dead left that company, started their own company called Jump Ship, and this is that company's first game. This game's called Somerville. I'm not going to try to spoil anything until it actually happens on screen, but just as a very loose kind of synopsis of the story, you are separated from your family, and you'll be working through the game to kind of reunite with them. This game also does have, like I said, it has 11 achievements. We'll grab all of those. There are 10 collectibles, so there's an achievement for that, and 5 different endings. Each one kind of has its own achievement, and then there's kind of like 5 missable achievements as well. We'll grab all of that, and I'll go through everything one by one as we approach it. Additionally, this game does have a really great chapter select, so if you do miss anything, don't worry, just keep playing, beat the game, play all the way through it, and you'll be able to chapter select your way through the achievements if you do prefer that method. You can actually play this game blind, and it'll probably take you around 4 or 5 hours to do that. Obviously, it'll be a lot more quick with this video, although we are tackling more subjects as we are doing all of the endings and whatnot. So it kind of adds a little bit of extra time to the end of the video that you wouldn't normally have to do if you were just playing it normally. But yeah, I think for me, my first playthrough took roughly 4 to 5 hours, although I was pretty thorough in trying to find collectibles and achievements and whatnot. If you're playing more leisurely, you may be looking closer to 3 hours. If you get stuck on a couple of puzzles or you're taking your time enjoying all of the sections, you could look at closer to 5 hours. So the intro started with us driving home. We have a wife and a kid and a dog. This is our little family here falling asleep on the couch. If you are interested in just playing the game by yourself and then just mopping up achievements or grabbing achievements and collectibles as you play through, I have a separate video for that. It's about 18 minutes long, and it just takes you through the things you need in order to get all the achievements. But this video will obviously get you through the game a lot more quickly, as I'll tell you everything you can do. Now, this is completely optional, but I wanted to show it off. You can walk up to the dog as the child and hug the dog. You got to pet the dog whenever you do get the opportunity to do that in a video game. So that's one of the few optional things I'm going to show you. Once you are up and about, you're going to want to go to the left-hand side room. This is a 3D game, and you cannot jump, so it's not really a platformer. This is more of an adventure game or a puzzle game. So that is a little bit of a difference from games like Limbo and Inside. They're both in the action type of game, but they kind of play differently. So after we walk to the left room, we can interact with the A button. We grab the little stuffed animal, and we're going to walk to the right-hand side. Once we do reach this, the stuffed animal should be dropped, and then we can interact with the green bag to pull it down. This will allow us to get a small ledge to climb over the fence and into the kitchen. So we're just going to use A to climb over. And obviously, we're using the left stick in order to move around. We're going to move to the right-hand side of the kitchen. We're going to open up both of the drawers here. So there's this lower drawer on the left and this higher drawer on the right. Once both of those are opened, we're going to use the A button to mantle up on top of the drawers to end up on top of the kitchen countertop. And then we're going to move towards the window in the background. We're going to mantle on top of the window ledge here. We're going to interact with the window and pull it up. We will get spooked and fall down, which will wake up our parents. Don't worry, you don't play a stumbling child throughout the whole game. We play as the dad for pretty much the entirety of the rest of the game from here on out. So like I did say, I'm going to quickly show it off. You can pause the game at any time and go to chapter select, and there's going to be a really great chapter select here where you can mop up quite easily if you want to. And I will periodically check in on the chapter select just to show you how far we are in the game. But as soon as we gain control of the dad, go to the right-hand side. You'll end up in the kitchen. Let's unlock our first achievement. Go up to the window and interact with it to close it, pulling it down. Then interact with both of the drawers and push them in. And this will unlock World's Best Dad achievement. I am playing on a secondary or even a third profile of mine, so the achievement unlocks will be pink. Just excuse that. Now from here, we're actually not going to go downstairs quite yet. We're actually going to go to the left-hand side. We're going to need the dog bowl. So if we go all the way to the left here, and we go outside through the front door, just interact with it and then pull it open. Walk outside and the dog will automatically follow you. And what we're going to need to do is go to the left where we can find the doghouse. Open up the doghouse and this will allow your dog to come and grab his bowl. He'll do that automatically and then he'll bring the bowl over to the kitchen. And then our next objective is to kind of try to fill that bowl with some dog food. Don't worry, the gameplay becomes a lot more exciting here in a few seconds. But if we go to the right-hand side and we go back to the kitchen now, you can actually interact with lights and stuff, which is kind of fun. But now that the dog's bringing his bowl back, we can go into this back door from the kitchen, turn on the light if you want, and then go downstairs. You should notice the pretty obvious bag of dog food here, which we'll grab. I think this is just to kind of set the tone of the game. We're doing very basic house chores right now. But there's a, it kind of sets up this next scene quite nicely. Take the dog food and it looks like some kind of literal alien invasion. What could it be? Now, I won't spoil too much. I won't talk about what's going to happen in the future of the game too often. But I do obviously know everything that's going to happen as I've played this game a couple times. But if we now head outside, we'll notice that something landed here in our kind of like front yard and our dog's kind of barking at it. So if we just walk up to it and wait, our wife will follow and we can look up into the sky. And there seems to be some kind of giant alien structure that is coming down. Now we're going to run back into the house. We're basically going to grab the kid and the dog in an emergency bag and leave. Our TV even got moved over here. So the wife takes the child. We're going to grab the bag from the kitchen countertop. We're going to follow her outside. The dog will automatically follow as well. Run to the left, out the front door, and we're going to work our way towards the car in the garage in the background there. So just walk down the steps and towards the car. The car does unfortunately explode, which doesn't leave us many options. We do drop our bag, so we're just going to basically leave that there. We're now going to go and bunker into the basement. So just walk all the way to the right into the kitchen, and then go into the basement again. And we're going to go hide in this little corner here. This is all just kind of setting up the story still. There's still, you know, there's a lot of puzzles and things to actually do later on. Now, this kind of like blue alien maybe creature thing came down into our basement. We're going to interact with them. They do seem to maybe be of human origin, as they have like a head and they're blonde hair. And we seem to have some sort of flashback into like a pod where they've become energized. We do interact with them. We get knocked out, unfortunately. And then we wake up, and I believe we're in chapter 3. So we can use the left trigger, and this is one of the main mechanics of the game. We now have like an alien arm, and we can left trigger in order to pulse blue light out of it. And we're going to be using this blue light in order to clear out the kind of alien goo that was left behind that's blocking our staircase. This mechanic obviously gets more and more complicated and more involved, but you can't just walk up to things and use it. You have to use your arm with a light source to actually amplify the power. So if you go to the right-hand side and we move over the small wooden block here, we'll find a lamp. We can interact with the lamp, and we can use the left trigger to change the lamp color to that blue color from our arm, and that will clear out the stairs. And now we'll go up the stairs and we'll be able to leave. But basically, we now have the ability to clear this kind of hard red alien goo and turn it into like a blue alien fluid, but we will need to use light sources in order to kind of aim that blue light. So we can take this lamp from the right-hand side, and we can use it to clear through our living room, pull the cable with you through the next room, and then you'll be able to clear all of the goo out of the way. You can press A to drop the lamp now, and then we can move the bookshelf. We're going to drop it to the left, and then we'll be able to climb it and climb on out. We can then walk forward all the way to the fence at the bottom of the screen, interact with that fence to push it open. Don't worry about the dog too much. They are a companion throughout the story, but for the most part, they take care of themselves. If we walk up to this lamp post right here and interact with the box, pressing A, using the left trigger to change the light color, we can then remove the next piece of blockage from the trail here. So this is just teaching us that we interact with different lights in different ways. There seems to be some sort of alien creature here that will roll around and kind of... these are an important part for one of the endings, but I'm going to leave that up to interpretation for you. I will show you them. They are basically collectibles. There are 10 of them, but that one doesn't specifically count as a collectible. We're going to walk and continue forward to the left. We're kind of building the world and the story here. Basically, those alien orbs are kind of rolling around and grouping up, and they're going to come and help us clear this obstruction next to this tractor. So basically, you can just kind of walk around and help gather them, or you can wait right by the tractor, and after about 15 to 20 seconds, they'll roll up and help you. After that, we can interact with the electrical pole. We can use the left trigger, and this will light up something in the far, far distance that will crash down. And then it seems like it might be some sort of log, but it's basically going to come down to us. And we need that for later, I think. But if we then walk forward, these balls on the ground will follow us and help clear the next little path for us, which will then be able to get across to the other side of the fence. We'll then continue to the left. We're going to be coming up on the first collectible in the game pretty soon here. You can interact with some of these hay bales and kind of move them around, but we don't really need to right now. Instead, walk up to this fence and interact with it to cross it to the other side. And I believe this begins Chapter 3, Checkpoint 3. We'll then crouch underneath this log. And here, there's our first collectible. Wait for the camera to kind of pan across. You'll notice this hay bale off in the back. What you want to do is interact with it, pressing A, and then pushing it forward to move it out of the way. Go inside of here, and the little alien orb guys will help you clear out this area completely. And now we should have our first out of 10 collectibles. If you want to check, you can go into the actual achievements of the game and go to the first contact achievement. There is tracking on this, which is why we're at 10%. We can then back out and continue to the left of the screen. I'm going to take the lower path here, although I don't think it necessarily matters. And then we're going to push forward and up across these train tracks. Now, if you keep your eyes peeled in the background on the bridge in the top right corner of the screen, you notice that there's some kind of maybe mysterious alien that seems to maybe be following us around. For now, we're just going to continue running to the left for the next little while. We are now in a forest. I believe this already begins Chapter 4. You move through the game pretty quickly at the beginning here in terms of chapter progress, but there's a lot more checkpoints in some of the middle chapters, so those take a lot longer. You'll notice there's like a UFO scanning light in the background, so there's also that mysterious UFO that seems to be following us in the background as well there in the forest. But as of right now, at this moment, they don't bother us, so we're just going to continue to the left. And here we'll climb over a log and then just keep down the normal path here. If at any point you do make any major mistakes that lead to basically like a character death or anything like that, don't worry. There's lots of checkpoints and there's no achievements or trophies related to, you know, a zero death run or a speed run or anything like that. As long as you make it through the game, whatever pace you make it through, you'll be able to basically grab everything. Here we do have to use the little rocks as a bridge to get across, as we will need to mantle up on top of this taller rock, and you can't do that from the water. And then we'll mantle up the next little ledge, and then we'll continue forward. couple more of our little alien orb robot friends will join us, and then the giant searchlight will try to catch us. Just continue running to the left to make sure you don't get stuck in the middle of the scanner, and you will survive. There is a tent at the end of the path that you will want to crouch inside of. Make sure you get all the way in it. If you do get caught in the scanner, you'll basically just get abducted by the UFO. The screen will fade to black, and you'll have to restart the checkpoint. After waiting for about, I don't know, 10 to 15 seconds, you'll be able to exit out of the little tent, and we'll be able to continue through the chapter by hopping over this fence. Continue along the pretty obvious path for now, and we will make it towards this light. You may have noticed the character hop off of this plane. Now here there's actually a specific solution. Interact with the light and point the light up. Then use the left trigger to melt the top of this spire. Then aim it down, and then you can melt the bottom. If you melt the bottom without melting the top, it will fall on you and crush you. But you'll learn that through trial and error if you were playing normally. You can then pass through the fuselage, that's the word I was looking for, of the plane, and come out on the other side. Don't worry, there will be different and new mechanics that show up in the game later, but it starts off pretty basic. And it ramps up quite slowly, in my opinion. You never really feel overwhelmed with a giant leap in how the mechanics work. Here, just get up on top of the log and then cross to the left-hand side. And then just continue moving to the left for a bit. Now, right here, I'm actually going to pause the game and go to chapter select just to show you how chapter select works. So we are in chapter not 1, not 2, not 3, but chapter 4, and we're in checkpoint 4. So chapter 4, checkpoint 4, right at the beginning of that chapter in checkpoint, you will be standing right here. And if you go up instead of to the left, you'll notice a little bit of a secret path. So go onto that secret path, crouch underneath the wooden branch thing, and then go to the back to find this secret meeting of alien orbs. And this will be our second out of 10 collectibles for the first contact achievement. There will be 10 of those. I won't do an achievement check every time, but those are the collectibles right there. We can now head back to that main path we came from and proceed to the left. You can get stuck on things in this game occasionally. So if you're trying to move to the left and you can't seem to move, you're probably just stuck on like a rock or something. Like I said, it happens quite often in this game, and sometimes the dog even gets stuck behind us, so that's not unusual either. Here, what we want to do is we want to actually walk into the water, and then we want to hop up onto the dock from the side, though. We can't go through the gate. And then you want to interact, not by jumping in the water, you want to stay on top of the dock, and you want to interact with the buoy or whatever, the lifesaver floaty device. And when you interact with that, you should be able to pull the boat a lot closer to you. And now what you want to do is jump into the water and stand behind the boat. We'll be using the boat as cover to make sure that we don't get stuck in the alien light. So head up onto the side of the boat. Press A to hold on to it, and then press to the left to move the boat across the river or lake. Just drag the boat all the way to the other end. You're allowed to move the boat through the light. You won't get caught, don't worry. If you're really quick, you can let go of the boat halfway through and just run across. But we're going to play it safe just to make sure that we don't get caught. We're going to play it the proper way. Eventually the boat will sink, and that means you're pretty much home free. You can continue walking to the left. There are some orbs over here to the right. These do not count as a collectible, but if you kind of walk towards them, they start following you, and they will help you clear a path. Now what you want to do is you want to walk up to this well here on the left-hand side. You want to interact with the handle, and you want to turn it all the way. This will reveal a bucket inside, which for some reason is not coming up. Maybe I turned it the wrong way. Let's find out. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get a bucket out of this well either way. There we go. Here's the bucket. Once the bucket is out, interact with the bucket to grab it, and then pull the bucket all the way out. What you may not have noticed yet about the little alien orbs that help us out is they are addicted to the red and blue alien goo. So what we need to do is we need to lure them across this gap from this pond to the obstruction at the back. So what we're going to do is we put the bucket into the kind of lake that we just came from. And now we're going to pull the bucket, which is now full of the alien goo. We're going to pull it towards us to make a little bit of a trail. They will follow this trail, and then they will eventually come towards the obstruction and clear it out for us. If you don't do it fast enough, or you lose too much goo in the bucket too quickly, they may not make it all the way here, but the game's pretty good about rewarding you when you do this correct solution to a puzzle. They're pretty good at actually giving you the, you know, the reward, which is letting you progress. So we use the bucket with the goo to open up the obstruction, and we can now go on through. There's a little cave here where it seems maybe some children have been, and we can continue through. Maybe there's even a child of some sort there. Doesn't look like our kid. It looks much older than ours, but they seem to have already disappeared. Keep moving to the left. Here we can hear our dog in the background, which means we are catching back up to him. He rejoined us. That happens quite a bit in the game, where he just kind of disappears for a chapter or two, and then he rejoins us. Like I said, he is a cool companion to have, but he doesn't really do a hell of a lot. All right, we are in chapter 4, checkpoint 6. And we're climbing up this hill. At the top of the hill, there is another achievement we can grab. At the top of the hill, you may notice there's like a monument to the right and a bench to the left. These are optional, as you don't need to interact with them in order to proceed the game. But we are going to go up to the bench at the far end and interact with it. This will allow our character to sit down, and our dog will join us right next to us. I'm going to count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now I believe if we get up off of the bench, we should unlock an achievement. If it didn't unlock, I guess that means I didn't sit down long enough. So maybe let's count to 15 instead, but this time we'll do it in our head. I don't know if the achievement doesn't seem to unlock until you get up out of the seat. So I don't actually know how long you need to sit here. I thought it was 5 seconds, maybe 10. But okay, maybe it's 15 seconds then. Eventually you will unlock the Weary Traveler achievement for taking a short rest. You can then get up off of the bench and let's continue through the game. Sorry about that small hiccup. We now move on to what I believe is already chapter 5. There are 14 chapters in the game. Like I said, they are not like evenly spaced apart. Some chapters are like 1 minute long and some chapters are 10 minutes long. But this is technically already chapter 5 out of 14. We've made our way to this highway. You can see that mysterious alien figure that's been following us around up on the sign there near the top left of the screen. We have to go that way anyways, so I guess we'll find out if they're friendly or not in a second. Tip over the car. You can then mantle up onto the car and walk across it. And then you can walk down onto the other side. Walk up to the van and interact with the door to push it to the right. Climb through the van. And then walk on the letter to go to the left of the screen. In Limbo and Inside, we spent the majority of the game walking to the right. Whereas in this game, I think we spend probably most of the time walking to the left. It might be 50-50. Anyways, here we'll drop down. Our dog will not. There's an opportunity here for a missable achievement. What we're going to do is we're going to walk through the puddle to the left. You don't need a headset for this, but after you get out of this puddle and reach the lamppost here, the dog will bark at you. Now that the dog has barked, we're going to head back into the lake and go back to the sign. Now, the dog will not be here, but we will be rewarded with an achievement for checking on them. With that achievement out of the way, we can move forward, and there is a collectible literally just around the corner. Follow the path to the left, and you may notice that there is a car in the background. That car has a light emitting out of the trunk, and inside of the trunk is a collectible, so let's go grab it. Interact with the trunk and open it to reveal the kind of secret alien orb guy inside. This will be first contact number 3 out of 10. They also light up, and they give you clues for how to unlock certain endings. Here there's a porta potty, or a John as some people will call it. There's an achievement related to porta potties, but we're going to unlock it later because it's a lot easier and a lot more common sense to get it later. Here, continue walking to the left towards this car, which will back up. And then we'll take off. Very mysterious, although they seem to get completely destroyed by an alien. Here we're going to walk up to the lamppost on the left, interact with it, hold the left trigger to melt the alien goo here. I can't seem to interact with it. I don't know if I'm standing in the wrong place or what. There we go. Oh. Maybe not. There we go. Walk up to it from the front of it, hold it, and then press the left trigger to melt the obstruction. And here we're going to be running away from the alien UFO light beam. Hide in the tent for a little bit. And once the coast is clear, continue moving to the left. In this area, the solution's somewhat obvious. Just grab the light source and pull it off of the stage. And then you can use this light source to clear out the back. The reason we want to clear up the back is I think it allows the cable to be longer. So make sure you take the cable around with you. And now the cable should reach all the way to the obstruction on the far end. And once we clear that out with the lamppost, we can drop down and grab this second lamp. And here we'll be able to clear out the remainder of the obstruction, which will allow us to loop up and around. Here we'll be able to interact with this metal girder, and if you pull it, it will drop a small bridge for us. We can now take the first light that we grabbed and we can take it across this bridge. Never mind. We're going to take the second light we took and we can grab this one across the bridge now, I guess. Otherwise, the cable wasn't long enough. Now, it does snag a bit, but I think if you just keep pulling it, it will unsnag. And here we can clear out the obstruction again that leads behind this red car. Once we do that, drop the light and use the ladder on the back of the car to get to the next area. So I believe there's another achievement coming up right here very, very shortly. Continue to the left. Go up into this area and interact with the generator. Pull the generator, I think 3 times to start it. That will turn on this amplifier. Take the amplifier little handles and connect them to the car engine. This will turn on the car's headlights. Now we can interact with the generator and press the left trigger to turn the headlights blue and clear the obstruction. Here we're going to go to the left and into the water. If you just stick close to the shore, you will stay in the shadow. As long as you're in the shadow, the alien will not see you. Here there is a car. We're going to climb this car and run across and into the porta potty. That's the only way to get away from this area safely. Although it is a little bit tricky, sometimes you get caught for literally no reason. Once in the porta potty, we're going to wait for like close to 30 seconds. There is an achievement that should unlock here if we spend enough time inside of the porta potty. It's called Stuck on the John. Once the light source is in the background and completely cleared, we should be okay to get out. I'm going to wait an extra 5 to 10 seconds. And now that we've waited that extra 5 to 10 seconds, the achievement unlocked and we'll just get on out. There's another 50 gamer score and we can continue to the left. There's actually a collectible coming up very quickly here. So there are 2 trucks kind of ahead of us, and just to the side of those trucks, there is our 4th out of 10 collectibles. So instead of going straight through the dumpsters, go to the right, sorry, and interact with this pallet, move the pallet over, and you'll end up inside of this like playpen, and you will find this collectible here. I don't know if you have to interact with them, but it seems like after you do, they will kick over the cardboard cutout of the human being, and this will be number 4 out of 10. It's always fun. It's always good to make sure that your achievement is tracking correctly, so I'm going to check it even if I don't necessarily have to. You can then move the dumpster over and head through between them to the next area. Go inside of the large white tent. Now this is a little bit of like this stealthy section, although it's super simple, and this is one of the only times we need to do a stealth section. Just wait for the light to pan across and you can move from object to object. And then we wait for the light to pan across again and we can move outside of the tent. Just don't get caught in the red light. If you do, you will die, but then you'll just have to restart the checkpoint really quickly. And it's super, super simple. Here we just have to make sure we stay in the shadow of the umbrellas. I apparently got caught by the UFO there, so I apologize. We're going to take it a little bit more slowly. We're going to wait for the UFO to pan away, and we're going to make sure we stand in the shadow of the umbrella. We're going to wait under this first umbrella. I don't think there's enough time to do both at the same time. Once it pans away, we can move to the shadow of the second umbrella, roughly right here, I hope. When the light pans away again, we're going to work our way towards the left, towards this generator in the corner. I think when we're standing next to the generator, we're safe. And we're going to start that generator by pulling it 3 times until the light changes to green. Wait for the UFO light to pan away, and we can now go inside of the kind of shop here. Now that the gates are closed, we can safely walk through without getting seen. And then we can drop out through the back. Wait for the light to pan across. Now we'll run across. And I'm going to sit right here just for a second, just to make sure the light doesn't come back. It does. So we are going to have to wait for the light to leave again. And this is just standard, like, timing of an event here. In any game, you've done this before. And then you can squeeze through the garbages to the next area. Here we'll get to a couple of palm trees with a couple of lights. Just grab this light right here and use the left trigger to start clearing the obstructions. Work your way towards the left, like the in between the palm trees to the left, and then start walking towards the right and bring this out all the way towards the elevator, or towards the ladder, sorry. We're trying to clear the obstruction that's on the top of where we're going. Once you've cleared that obstruction, you can now head up the ladder here. The ladders are, I don't know why, but video game developers can't seem to ever get ladders right. It's very hard to interact with them in like pretty much every game you ever play. But now we can go across that first ladder. We can go across this kind of narrow makeshift bridge that's made of like steel supports, and we can grab an achievement right here actually. What we're going to do is we're going to climb this second ladder here. You have to do this as a part of the game. Interact with the switch and change it. After you do that and everything turns on, hold the left trigger. I think we're going to hold it for about 5 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5. And the achievement should hopefully unlock once we let go. Now, there may be an issue with Xbox Live, I'm not quite sure, but the kind of blue achievement should unlock right here after turning the stage lights completely blue, and then we can move on. I'm 100% sure that's how you unlock that achievement, and yours should unlock too. I will double check that everything is correct in the video before I post it, so don't worry. But we can now move on to the next thing, which is a collectible just around the corner. Follow the path to the left here. And then just keep following it until you can go down this slope and slide down. As soon as you slide down, there's a collectible in the porta potty to your left-hand side. Just open them up and let them come out and interact with you for it to count. All right, let's move on. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move towards that stage that we just made blue. We're going to interact with the generator on the far left side. We're going to pull the switch down and use the left trigger to melt off this support beam, which drops the plug. We're then going to pick up the plug and plug it into this camera system right here. Just plug it right into the back. Then we're going to take the camera trolley and move it so that it points at the UFO spaceship in the middle of the stage. When we're doing that, hold the left trigger to make the light blue, and this will clear the obstruction that will now allow us to get on stage. We then walk forward, jump up onto the stage, go to the back of the stage where there is a switch here. We'll just move the wheel. The wheels are always weird in this game, but if you turn it, you'll open up the door in the back. Then we can walk on through and find another plug socket. Pick up that plug and then take it back to the stage with you. Plug it into the right hand side here. This is an elevator. We've now given it power. Hop up onto the elevator and interact with the switch to go up. And then follow the path here in order to jump down onto the spaceship itself. Interact with the 3 handles that are kind of the closest to you. and this will make the spaceship drop. Once the spaceship drops, it will disconnect, but luckily we can take the socket from the elevator and then plug it directly into the spaceship. Once the spaceship is powered, hop inside, hold the handle. You can use the left trigger to make the spaceship blue, and then you can push forward. Just keep it blue for this whole next section. And this will help us basically clear all of these obstructions that are in the way onto the next area. Now here we're going to be hunted by some kind of alien animal. You just saw it on the right of the screen, but it looks like it might be a little bit scared of our lights. It's now going to chase us. Now don't worry, just go all the way to the end here and then start running away from it. There's nothing special you have to do. You just have to use your movement to follow the path that is pretty obviously presented in front of you. It does shoot at you periodically, but as long as you're moving away from it, it shouldn't hit you. And just keep running away. Now here you'll notice that secret kind of alien that was creeping up on us just took out that other alien thing. So there seems to be maybe someone's helping us. Maybe there's aliens and maybe there's people who are good. We will find out more literally right now. So we were just saved by someone, and they actually take human form, and here they come to help us with this door that is way too heavy for us. Once they open the door a little bit, we can crouch under. Maybe they're a robot, maybe they're a human, maybe they're an alien. But they do have a cool red metal suit. There's going to be another door here they're going to help us through. Our dog is lost for now. Hopefully we get him back. And there is a third gate here as well that he's going to help us with. And they remove their helmet. They are an actual human. So it seems like this guy has that kind of red suit, and he's a human. At the beginning of the game, we had that blue human who like dropped in through our roof, and from them we got the blue arm. Now I'm not saying what's going to happen next, but if the blue guy gave us a blue arm, maybe the red guy will give us a red arm? Could that be true? We'll find out. But just continue forward onto the bridge here. Now, the bridge isn't very well connected, and you can hear your dog barking in the background. The bridge almost breaks, but luckily our new red friend will help us out as we fall together into the abyss. I think this begins chapter 6. Now we're going to go and follow the path, just basically heading down deeper into these like caves. You will have some parts where you can shimmy across. There is some goo to the left here, but there's nothing we can do with it. So we're going to go down into the right. Climb down the ladder. And then drop down the ledge and the next ledge and go down the slide. Now, once we end up in this pit, we will notice our red friend here. So let's go and interact with him. You can try to lift the sled off of him if you want. And you can touch his arm here. And here we have a flashback to some sort of like science experiment pod testing thing. And we have been given the ability of the red arm. So, the blue arm turns the red stuff into the blue stuff. And the blue arm turns the red stuff into the blue stuff, and the red arm turns the blue stuff into the red stuff. Basically, if it's red and hard, we can use our left trigger to melt it, and if it's blue and fluidy, we can now use our right arm to solidify it. But we do need a light source, so let's jump up on the ledge behind us to the right, and then shimmy across this gap. Shimmy across the next gap. And then jump down into the pit. And here we'll open up the wooden little ledge here thing. This will open a box with some flares. We can pick up a flare, which is our light source. So now, if we use the right trigger, hold it, you have to charge it a little bit, and then let go of the blast, it'll turn blue goo into solid red goo. So now we have the ability to work on the goos in two different ways. You can melt the goo that's like around the character, the red guy that kind of helped us get down here, but you actually don't get anything for that. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to use our red arm to solidify the waterfall that we kind of fell down, and we can now climb up and go back to where we came from. And you can actually climb up these ledges now as well. So as long as it's red, you can pretty much climb it. This will bring you back to the ladder, which we can now climb. And then at the top of the ladder, we can go to the left. And to the left of the ladder was that kind of river of blue goo that we couldn't do anything with. But now, if we use our right trigger, we can turn it all red, and we can basically discover a new path here. And we're just going to keep following the path. Here there is a large cliff. We will need to jump down and land in the water below. I'm going to grab some air at the top here, but we're basically going to be swimming and going through the level. So just basically hold the left trigger and just follow what seems to be the natural path, where you have to clear the obstructions to get through them. And then there should be pockets of air in between these kind of, you know, adventure/platforming sections. So we're going to grab some air in the air pocket up here. Then we're going to dive back down and continue to the left. Through this fence. Pretty much just hold the left trigger. There is no, like, power that you need to worry about. You can pretty much use it infinitely as long as you have a light source. And then get to the top of the water in order to get some air again. Continue to the left, and then you can hop out of the water and onto the ledge. And here what we want to do is just use the left trigger to try to melt as much of the goo into the water below. If you follow it, you will unveil a little bit of a ledge that you can follow up, and then you can basically rub against this rock to get as much of the red to melt into the water. We're basically trying to fill the entire little lake with blue. Once you've filled like a significant portion of the water with blue, you don't want to do what I did. But basically, you want to stand on the rock nearby. And then you want to use the red to solidify it and harden it so we can walk across it like a bridge. And then you can hop up the ledge at the end to a ladder. And there's a collectible just around this corner. Walk into the mine shaft. Now walk slowly here, but there's a door behind you pretty much when you enter. Go into that door and then walk to the left. You will disappear behind the rock here, but you will unveil a little bit of a collectible, little secret guy there. That's going to be number 6 out of 10. You can then just walk across and follow the path for a little bit. Up the ladder. We did lose our flare here. You have to lose your flare to get up to the next area. Now here there will be a monster, so you can't climb the second ladder. What you want to do is you want to start shimmying across to the left-hand side. I'm not certain if you have to climb the second ladder to get them to spawn, but from what I've practiced, that seems to be a pretty reliable strategy to get the game to continue. Just keep moving to the left here. Hop up onto the log, and then use the log to cross the gap. Do not jump into the water down below right now. Here you'll unveil another mine shaft with a wooden board that you can pull down, and once you pull it down, you can go inside. You can then crawl through, going to the left. And just keep moving to the left here for a little bit. Go to the ladder on the left and climb that. And then you'll see another ladder, climb that. And then once you're at the top here, follow the railway through this hole. Pull the board off to reveal a minecart. Pull the minecart out. You do want to end up grabbing it from behind. And then push the minecart down the railway all the way to the edge to basically throw it off. Once you throw it off, it should break all the wood, which now allows us to jump off of the ledge and land into the water below. And you just have to swim across. We don't have a flare with us, so you can't actually... Your arms still work. They will change color, but you don't actually have enough light or enough energy to do anything with them at the moment. So just swim to the next air pocket. And then follow the path to the left. If I am going too fast for you, I do apologize. Let me know that in the comments down below, and for the future, I will be able to make that adjustment. Or you can change the video speed on the YouTube player to 75%. Here, what we want to do is we want to use the blue light to melt all of the obstruction down below. We then want to lower this into the obstruction down below. And once it's completely lowered into the blue, we want to cycle it red, which will solidify it. And now we want to raise this elevator, and we basically made ourselves a platform. Sorry. Once you raise it up as far as you can now walk across it. And then jump up the ledge on the other side. Continue through to the left. Pull out the minecart to reveal a mine shaft behind it. Fairly certain we don't need to bring it along with us, so we're going to leave it behind. I actually thought there would be some sort of Easter egg if you brought it with you, but the path ends pretty quickly here. Climb up the ledge and continue to the left. And just keep moving to the left. And here we can drop down and we'll reveal a flare box. So we'll pick up the flare from the flare box. And here we want to start lighting the room with blue in order to clear the obstruction. This will basically raise the water level for us. And we basically have to raise the water level all the way to the top. There's a little bit of a tricky section coming up that I'm not even sure if I do it correctly now, but it seems to be the way that I get it to work most often. Here you'll reach a ledge once you melt the obstruction to the maximum capacity here. You can exit through a ledge on the left and then jump up on the next ledge, and you can start melting more to bring the water up even higher. Now here it gets a little bit weird. There's a couple of items that if they fall down on top of you, they will kill you. I'm not sure if you're supposed to like let them go and then shield yourself from them by switching from blue to red. What I found to work the best is once they start shifting, just dive into the water and then change the color and try to hide around this corner. But basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to get this to break, and we want it to break as we're kind of diving down and hiding in the corner. That way we can dodge them and we won't get hit by them, and we don't have to change any of the colors to a different color. As you can see, it's a little bit finicky the way it has to work, but this is the way that I personally found that, you know, was the most reliable. Once all of the obstructions clear, you can swim back up to the top, and now we can carry ourselves basically all the way to the top. There's a collectible just around the corner, though, so make sure you follow along and find it with me here. Continue raising the water level until you can exit the water on the left. Once you exit the water, use the right trigger to turn the water red, which will create a bridge that allows us to go to the right-hand side. If you go and follow the path to the right-hand side, you will reveal a little bit of a secret cave. In this secret cave is a secret collectible. Just wait for him to react and run around and stuff, and if you want to check your achievement tracking, you will be at 7 out of 10. You can now head back out to the left. Use the right trigger to harden this waterfall that we can then kind of climb up. And then you can move to the left. Head away from the screen. Once you reach the end of the path there, you can turn to the left to continue moving to the next scene. You may have to climb a ledge here and then drop down another ledge. Now here's a puzzle, and I'm not gonna lie, I got stuck on this puzzle for probably 5 or maybe even 10 minutes. It's really easy once you know what to do, but there was a couple of clues I didn't catch on to. The first thing you'll do is in the middle of the room, activate the switch to turn on all the lights. That's gonna be pretty helpful for us. I didn't realize that was a switch for like a solid 3 minutes when I was doing it. I was running around back and forth. But then we're gonna go all the way to the left of the screen. This part's pretty simple, at least it was for me. And there's a pretty obvious ladder here that we're going to take up. At the top of this ladder, you can find a generator. The first thing we're going to do is we'll turn on the generator just so you guys can see what we're working with. There's a little bit of a window here, but it's blocked by some wooden, whatever. The word's escaping me, but now you can hold on to the generator with the wood removed and hold the left trigger. This will melt the obstruction here and it will fall into the water, which will raise the water level down below. The word I was looking for was wooden plank, by the way. But now we can drop down the ladder and go to the right hand side of the screen. We'll find a minecart. And this part should be pretty obvious too. We're going to pull the minecart with us across to the right-hand side. And we're going to fill the minecart with the dripping blue alien goo. This part I also found pretty easy. The part I couldn't figure out was the light switch for some reason. And then I couldn't figure out how to get the plug into the cart, but it's actually really easy. Fill the cart with the blue goo. Pull the cart back up. Make sure your light is turned on. You want to pull the cart so that it is below the plug that's hanging from the ceiling. You want to interact with the switch, and then you want to only lower it partially. Do not open it enough for the door to start opening. That way the plug will not snap back. You can then interact with the switch, use the right trigger to harden the goo inside of the minecart, and push the minecart down the hill to open up the door. That was a lot easier than I thought it was when I first came to this puzzle. There's a collectible just around this corner, so we'll make sure to grab it. Squeeze through here. And here we would exit the level using this ladder on our left. Instead, we are going to continue past the ladder and find these two little homies hanging out. These are collectibles number 8 out of 10. And if you want, we will double check that we are at 8 out of 10. Now we can proceed up the ladder and into the next chapter. I think chapters 5 and 6 are probably the longest in the game, which are the 2 we just did. And a lot of the ones near the end of the game are pretty short or pretty easy or linear. I would say personally we're at about the halfway mark of the game. Although, like I said earlier, we will have to do multiple different types of endings. So that's why there's a lot more bulk at the end of the video than there would normally be in a normal playthrough. After falling through, go up to the switch and pull it down. This will turn on the lights. Then what we can do is we can interact with this lever here to spin the, I don't know, train track receptacle thing. Press the button in order to open up the garage. Pull the minecart onto the, I want to call it like a tabletop spinner, but I'm sure there's like an official name. There's probably someone watching this video right now yelling at me for not knowing what it's called, but the name escapes me. Rotate the minecart onto the other track and then push it to the end. We can now use it as a platform to reach the window, and we can exit out. We're then going to open the garage behind us, or the garage door. Once we do that, we can pull out the minecart that we just pushed onto the track. We can now get behind it, and we can push it down the track. And then once it starts rolling downhill here, we can let it go. Probably shouldn't have done that, but I forgot what we have to do here. Here you do want to use the lever to rotate the track. Now the minecart can move forward, but it does need a little bit of speed here so we can crash through the gate. So we're going to pull it up the hill a little bit, and then we're going to let go of it at the top of the hill so that it can crash through the metal gate and clear the path for us. You can keep pushing it here just so it gets out of the way. Once down here, rotate it onto the next path, and we'll continue pushing it. Now here, there is a little bit of a stealth section. What you want to do is you want to get behind the minecart and then interact with it from the side, and you can push it basically through the red lights without getting caught. And we're just going to need to rotate that track in the middle. So stop your cart somewhere here next to this ladder. Just to be safe, I am going to wait, and then I'm going to disengage and climb down this ladder. We're going to go to the left and climb up the other ladder. Try to make sure to time your movement here so that you can get through. And then move towards the lever. At the lever itself, you are safe. So once you are there, rotate the track. Wait for the light in order to go back to the ladder we came from. And we're basically now just going in reverse. Climb up that ladder that we took originally, back next to the minecart, use the side of it to now push it through. Now that we rotated the track, we can basically just push on through without getting seen. Now here it gets a little wild. We're going to have to just let go of the minecart and it'll push down the hill on its own and through the gate. The third kind of enemy there will go and chase it because they are alerted to the sound, and now we can follow behind it. Sometimes I get spotted here and I don't know why. Hopefully I don't. Stick to the right-hand side behind here. When he changes his view, we can now go across to the left. Interact with the switch to pull it down, and then use your right trigger to freeze this animal in its tracks. We've disabled the animal, and we can walk forward now. I thought there'd be an achievement for that, or for, like, undoing it and redoing it, but there is no achievement tied to that creature specifically, unfortunately. Walk to the left, interact with the elevator to call it. Once the elevator gets down to you, you can then interact with the sliding door to open it up. Head inside. And press the button in the corner to go up. Once at the top, open up the next door and continue to the left. Drop down into the water and then keep moving to the left the whole time. We're now going to be running away from the monster. You're going to have to make it to this car and then open the door and climb on through. Watch out that you don't get hit by any of the arrows. If you get frozen at the wrong time and you get stuck on a ledge, it's pretty easy to die there, but nothing really happens if you do. You just have to restart it. Once you reach the edge here, just jump off into the water down below. And now there's a little bit of a cutscene into the next area. There's nothing to do here or anything to control. You can pretty much put your controller down, go get a drink, or go take a short break. As you wait, you'll eventually wash up on shore here, and you'll regain control of your character in a bit. I think this little cutscene type thing only lasts about probably 2 minutes or less. And if you remember, I talked a little bit about how long chapters 5 and 6 were. They took us probably like 20 minutes at least. Chapters 7 and 8 are already done. They both happened within about 5 minutes. And I believe we are now starting chapter 9 pretty much once we wash up to the shore here. It's not that important what chapter we are in technically, but I just wanted to kind of point towards what I said earlier of how the pacing of the game is kind of all over the place in terms of, going chapter by chapter. Here you will reunite with your dog, and then you can walk forward. There seems to be some sort of maybe grocery store or warehouse in front of us, and that's where we're headed. We do kind of faint here, maybe lose consciousness, maybe we're too weak, or maybe, who knows, we're poisoned by the alien goo. We're not really sure yet, but the screen will fade to black, and then we'll wake up inside. All right, so we're going to wake up in a bed. There's a collectible nearby, and then we can kind of work on the story for a bit. The gameplay, in my opinion, slows down a little bit for the next, 10, 20 minutes. And then it kind of gets really actiony again. So bear with me here. As you get up, walk out of the door on your right-hand side by pushing it open. Here we'll need to kind of follow the paths inside of the warehouse/grocery store. Not actually 100% sure what it is. I think it's a grocery store, but I think we're in the back section, which is a warehouse. Beats me. Anyways, you're going to go all the way to the right, then move away from the screen and go all the way to the left. Once you reach the back left here, you're going to walk all the way away from the screen, sticking to the left-hand side. At the end of the hall here, you should notice a green light, as well as a cart on wheels. If you go up to that cart and interact with it, you can move it to the side. This will reveal a door behind it, and we're going to want to go inside of that door. This is technically an optional area, but for us in this playthrough, it's not really that optional because our 9th out of 10 collectibles is in here. Walk up to the box and interact with it to reveal the collectible inside. You do have to kind of catch up to it, and it does keep moving, but once you knock over the box, it will reveal the kind of alien orb inside. And that will be 9 out of 10. Only one more to go, and it's coming up pretty soon here. You can then leave out of the door that we came through, and instead of going to the left side, walk all the way across to the opposite side on the right. You won't be able to go into this first elevator, nor the second elevator. You will be forced to go all the way to the right-hand side, where hopefully we will get a pleasant surprise. At the very far end of our walk, we will find a tent, and inside that tent is our wife and kid. So that's a pretty happy way to just kind of have a scene near the middle of the game. We're closer to the end than we are to the beginning, but you know, this is probably a scene you would imagine at the end of the game. But we're actually going to play alongside our wife and child for a little bit here after we are reunited. So once we are together, we can basically start walking to the left. And now that we are with our wife and child, we do have access to those kind of freezers and elevators that we were denied entrance before. We're actually going to leave the safety and shelter of this supermarket, which is, in my opinion, a little bit questionable in terms of being a good parent. But I guess there is a grander picture or a bigger idea to what they plan on doing, as you will see later on in the story. Walk into this freezer room with these characters, and I think your wife here will grab some medicine, and your kid will wander off here to the front and look at the glass. You will see behind the glass that there are, you know, alien monsters in the streets. The ones that have chased us before. So, you know, not great. But if we just walk back now, our kid will walk back, our wife will grab the medicine, and then we can leave this room. And unfortunately, there is no medicine, which is why we do end up leaving. But, yeah, still not maybe the wisest decision in the grand scheme of things. Also, every time she goes to pick up the child, it temporarily goes invisible. It's not because the child is an alien. I guess it's just a something in the game code they couldn't get working by the time they released the game. You can now exit out of the freezer. Not quite sure why. There we go. I guess just give it a time and the guy will open it up for you. Didn't happen on my last 2 playthroughs, but I guess every playthrough is unique. Walk over to the next room to the left, and there's another door here we'll be able to go through now that we weren't able to go through before. If memory serves me correctly, this is an elevator that will take us outside, essentially. So go inside, wait for the wife to follow in, and she will press the button, the door will close, and we now move on to, I believe, Chapter 10 already. As soon as we gain access to controlling our character, pry open the door in order to gain access to the outside. Walk forward and through the store. Move the shelving unit to the side. You will need the help of your wife to do these from now on. So if you do get like separated or she's doing something else, you won't be able to move those on your own. She's going to go to the right here, I think, to look for more medicine, which I don't believe she finds. And so we're going to have to keep kind of working our way into the streets here. Oh, never mind. She did find something. She found some kind of liquid. The funny thing about recording these kind of playthroughs, when I'm so focused on solving puzzles, getting collectibles, and not missing achievements, a lot of the times I miss the simple things of the story because I'm just not paying attention enough. Lift up the next shelf, and we can continue forward. If you want a little bit of insight, typically when there's a little story section like that, that's when I reach for my computer to take a quick note about what we're doing so that I can reference my notes later when recording. But here you'll be able to go through the supermarket, and all the shelves are unfortunately empty. The only thing they do have is a toy section. You may know where we're going with this from when we played at the beginning of the game. Our kid has a toy. That toy has light on it. And we can now use this toy as a blue and red light source to change the alien goo. We do have to kind of interact with our wife in order to get that connection to the light going. So I think you just kind of have to wait here for her to, like, be, you know, enter a state of being able to work together. Once you hold hands, though, that's when you can start using the light. You can show her your new ability. She's obviously pretty surprised by it. You can now walk out of the store and into the street. Once you reveal the door, you can pry it open. And then you can continue through. This right here is actually the beginning of Chapter 10. I spoke a little bit prematurely earlier. And right at the beginning of Chapter 10 is when we can grab our 10th and final collectible. So just continue walking forward. Clear a little bit of the goo that you need to clear in order to make your way to the red blinking light, as well as the kind of tractor trailer here to our right. Watch out for this little rock that we can get clipped on. For a final collectible, as soon as you pass this truck, take a right-hand turn, clear the obstruction to reveal a door into the supermarket. Pry open that door to be able to get inside. Once inside, find your 10th and final collectible, hopefully unlocking the first contact achievement. It can take a second to pop, but there we go. If you want to do a quick achievement check, we are at 6 out of 11, 450 out of 1,000. The kind of blue achievement, which didn't pop on screen earlier, popped while I was reloading the game, so don't worry, we still are on pace to get everything done. You can now leave the store and go towards the red bus here. Wait for your wife to catch up and use the light to clear the side and back of this bus. Once you clear as much as possible here, you can jack up the bus with the jack right next to it. I think you can crank it at least 3 times. 4 times. 5 times. After 5 times, you can just crawl through the wheel well to get to the other side. Once on the other side, head into the bus, and you can open up the back door of the bus in order to let your wife inside. This puzzle also took me like 3 or 4 minutes on my first try. I didn't realize you could crouch underneath the wheel like that for like the longest time. I think this next section is a little action-packed, so get ready to run through the streets. Although it might be a little bit from now. So here you can use your wife to clear this car, I believe. Actually, never mind. Just use her to move the shelf. After you move the shelf, the car should go in, and then you can hold hands and clear the way. When you clear the way, you'll fill up the gap in the street, and then you can use the right trigger to make sure it's a solid little bridge to get across the gap. Work your way up the street and to the left into the alleyway. Then work your way through to the right through the next alleyway. There is no sprint button in this game unless I have played through the game now 3 times without realizing it. But I think it would have been kind of helpful during some of these sections, but I understand why it doesn't exist also. Head up the stairs. Don't worry about the dog. He'll catch up to us, I hope. And then you will enter inside of this store. That's pretty much at the front of the screen now. There is one of those aggressive alien monsters inside. Now, during this section, you want to be careful. There is glass on the floor. If you walk on top of it, the monster will find you. There is also mannequins you can bump into. If you bump into them, you will knock them over, make a lot of noise, and also be found out. So there's a pretty simple path here. You just walk a little bit to the left, and then you walk down a little bit, and then you walk between the mannequins here. It's easy to stumble into one of the mannequins. If you do, don't worry. It's not a huge deal. You'll just have to restart the checkpoint. And then you can pry open the door. When you pry open the door, there will be an alarm. At this point, you're just going to run for your life. Don't worry about your child and wife. I mean, maybe if this was real life, you would. But they may fall behind. If they fall behind at any point, don't worry. They can't really die. You're the only one who matters in this scene. So just keep sprinting, and if you leave them behind, it's not a huge deal. Go into the store on the left-hand side at the end of the road. Go up the stairs and onto the balcony. On the balcony, you'll find a cart. You want to push that cart slightly back, and then you want to push it slightly forward and through the window. You'll then be able to jump through the window and down onto street level, working your way up the street towards the church, I believe, in the background. Now, there is a lock on the gate here, unfortunately, so we are going to get surrounded. But don't worry, there is a third alien, and they are purple, and they're here to help us. They're going to blast open the gate for us, which is going to let us run into the church. Once you get in through the front door, keep running to the left. Once you get through the second door, run away from the screen and open up the bookcase to reveal the spiral staircase. Go forward and then go up the spiral staircase. Sometimes, no matter how quick and good you are, the aliens will catch up to you here, which if that happens, don't worry, it'll just revert you to a checkpoint. But just run all the way up the spiral, and at the end of the spiral, there is a ladder, which you'll be able to climb. So climb that ladder if you can on your first try, on your second try if you have to. Actually made it up this time, which was nice. This will bring you to the rooftop. Once on the rooftop, you want to stand over here to the left. And here you can just sit here basically the whole time. And you don't have to worry about the giant spaceship. The purple guy will also come back and help us out here with a couple of shots. So as you've seen, the blue light kind of melts, the red light solidifies, and the purple light kind of destroys. That's how we can kill things. The spaceship will open up, the purple guy will run inside, and we're going to follow him in. And unfortunately, our family will not quite make it with us. Which is very unfortunate, but, you know, that's the story of the game and the way it's told. They do get swamped by the monsters, so not a great ending for them for now. after the kind of prolonged little cutscene, we're gonna go and we're inside of that research facility that we had a vision of near the beginning of the game when we interacted with the blue character, and near the kind of middle of the game when we interacted with the red character. So we've kind of made it to that research facility, and we are basically now a test subject. And we're gonna have to complete a series of tests that will eventually, you know, move the story along. So we're inside of this pod here on the left-hand side. If we're just patient, we will be released out of the pod. And then we're just going to have to do a couple of really quick and easy experiments. Just walk towards the red flag thing. Then walk across and in a circle to grab all of the red flags again. Not sure what the point of this exactly is. Knowing where we're going to end up, this kind of makes sense, but also it's kind of weird for the game to make you prove that you know how to walk around in a circle right now. After those red flags, there will be another one in the middle. Then there will be a switch on the left-hand side. We will interact with it. There will be a wall, and we will melt that wall with our blue light, which will allow us to walk across and interact with the red light on the other side. And then now we're going to interact with the light on the right, melt the structure in the middle completely. And then at the end, when it's all melted, we're going to solidify everything. Sorry, we're going to melt it, and then we're going to solidify it so it doesn't grow back. I messed up there. So we're just going to melt it all away. And then we're going to use the red. And now that it's frozen, we can walk over to the flag and grab it. We're now going to be introduced into this, like, really weird little tutorial. We're going to walk into the blue pod for now. The game gets really loud now, by the way, as well. The red guy is not here because he was crushed by that ladder and died when we absorbed his ability earlier on in the game. But this section lasts like 2 or 3 minutes, which is like a minute and a half too long, probably. But we're going to be kind of mixing the blue and the red and the purple, and this is going to allow us to learn how to use the purple ability. So on the left side of the screen, when you see blue, hold your left trigger until it explodes. When you see the red on the right side of the screen, hold your right trigger until that kind of explodes. And then when it's purple in the middle of the screen, hold both of your triggers at the same time until that kind of explodes. You're going to repeat this process probably 15 times over the next couple of minutes until eventually you create enough energy to finish this section of the game, and you will be pushed into the next chapter. This is the part of the game where the story gets kind of wild, and I'm probably just going to leave it up to interpretation a little bit. It's up to you to decide kind of what the story means to you. In a way, we're kind of like the savior of Earth. We are the blue guy from the beginning of the game, but maybe we're not. Maybe we just absorbed his ability. Maybe we're trying to save the world. Maybe we're trying to just save our family. Maybe we are an alien. There's like so many different possibilities, really. It's kind of up to you. I would be really curious to know what you guys think of the story. So if you have a second, don't forget to drop a like on this video, but also let me know what you thought of the story in the YouTube comments down below. Maybe you loved it, maybe you hated it, maybe it meant one thing to you or something completely different. We are going to be teleported back to our living room here. We are going to go to the kitchen for now, and then we're going to go into the basement. We're going to grab the dog food and bring it upstairs. This is not the end of the game, by the way. There's still a solid chunk of gameplay to go. And we can try to pour the dog food into the dog bowl, but it doesn't work. There may or may not be an alien outside, so let's go check by going through the house and to the left. Our wife is outside just watching some fireworks. I guess there was no aliens all along. Was it just a dream? Maybe? Probably not. I opened up the doghouse just for fun. I don't think you need to. But if you stand here with your wife, the fireworks will get a little bit of a zoom in. Then we're teleported back to our house without our wife and our kid. So let's head back inside the house. Go to the right, through the house towards the kitchen. From the kitchen into the basement. And here we find the blue guy again, like from the beginning of the game. This is, in my opinion, where the story gets a little bit hard to follow. We'll get another flashback to the experiment pod and to the spaceship that we saw at the very beginning of the game being broken apart. We do still have our ability. I'm going to show you we have our blue ability, and that's the only ability we currently have for a bit. We're going to walk over to the right and remove the plank of wood from the lamp. We're going to pick up the lamp. We're going to melt away a hole where our staircase was that we can now walk through this giant tunnel. I think we're halfway through chapter 13 now. And then there's only chapter 14 at the end, so there's not much to go left in the game, but there are 5 different endings still to go. We're just going to walk forward and through the tunnel, and then we'll enter this kind of large open area with some kind of sphere in the middle that might be connected to some kind of cables or some kind of alien structure. But before we can get to it, the alien spaceship will melt us through the ground. We're then going to end up in the water, and we're going to swim through to the bottom right-hand side, loop around down to the left. We have been here before. This is where that red guy was earlier on in the game. Grab the pocket of air in the middle here. Then dive back down and to the left. Going through the metal gate. And surfacing on the other side in order to get air. Now, once we surface here, we're actually going to end up where that red guy was earlier. So we're going to walk up to them. We're going to move the beam. We're going to grab their arm. And we're going to get our red superpower back. As well as some kind of a memory of all three of the beams working together. Then we're going to follow down and go up the ledge and shimmy across the back like we did earlier on in the game. And then shimmy across the next ledge. And drop down into the pit. And go to the right-hand side here. Pull the beam off the wall, revealing the flares in the chest. Pick up the flare. You now have a light to go with you. There will be an achievement coming up here. This is Chapter 13, Checkpoint 3. And if you use your left trigger, you can now walk away from the screen and basically create a tunnel through this area. Be pretty careful here. The achievement relies on us not using the left trigger at a certain specific point, but you're gonna be basically be burrowing a tunnel through here for a while. Then you're gonna end up in this kind of large open cavern area. I'm not sure if you have to, but I do harden the floor here to be able to make it up the ramp easily. Don't use your triggers when you don't need to. Just try to keep your flare green when possible. That means it's not really doing anything. And then use your left trigger here to start burrowing through the next tunnel. As soon as you emerge out of this tunnel, don't use your left or right trigger for a little bit of time. This is kind of the first ending of the game that's coming up. It is what I would say is the soft ending, as you don't actually reach the end of the game, but you do reach a cutscene that some people call an ending, as it does technically wrap up the story and provide you with some of the answers you may be looking for. Once we emerge on the other side here, do not touch the left trigger. Do not touch the left trigger. You will have a couch in front of you with your wife and child sitting there. And if you walk up to it while not holding your left trigger, you will sit down, put the flare down, and this will start a short little cutscene. It will begin by fading your screen to black. After that scene fades to black, you'll get a short cutscene. You will be thrown back into Chapter 13, Checkpoint 3, but you will also unlock what I'm calling our first ending and an achievement called Resignation. Now, undoubtedly, that is a bad ending. You basically just go and sit down on a couch and quit. You don't save the world. You don't save your family. You don't save yourself. You just kind of quit. So that's why it just respawns us right back into chapter 13. Right near the beginning where we picked up the flare, you're going to have to go and burrow the tunnels again. So you kind of have to replay the last minute or so again. And don't worry, we're going to get some real endings. But that would be probably a bad ending. There are what I would say kind of 2 bad endings, 2 good endings, and then there is one like true best ending. We're going to do them in that order kind of. So that was the first bad ending. Then when we actually reach the true ending of the game, or the real last checkpoint, I'll do the bad ending, then I'll do the 2 kind of good / neutral endings, and then we'll do the true best ending at the very, very end. So here, just hold the left trigger through the tunnels, and once you do reach that couch with your family, use the left trigger to melt the corruption and pass through the next tunnel into the next area. Again, hold the left trigger to continue through. You will then open up the tunnel into that kind of giant open area with the sphere in the middle again. Walk towards it, and there will be some light on the right-hand side that we can interact with. So you're going to stick your hand in that hole. Inside, you can see kind of memories, and we're going to have to interact with these memories in specific ways. We're going to start by holding the left trigger, and this will start kind of devouring the hole in the middle of the room, which will reveal something inside. We don't know what to do with that quite yet. And then the spaceship will come and spot us, and we will sink through the ground and fall through. Here we're going to swim to the surface to grab air, and we're going to continue to the right-hand side for the next minute or so until we reach the next kind of interactable item. Here your kid will hop off the couch and walk towards the left. We'll be able to pick up the teddy bear and use this to proceed through the level for a bit. You're going to have to go through a little bit of a puddle here. And then there's a couple of things we'll have to do in order to stop the cars. So if you freeze the cars with the right trigger, they will cause a pileup, and then you can safely walk across. I believe you can try to just walk across, and if you dodge them all, that's fine. But that won't work in this second and third section, where again, you may have to stop the cars from getting you. There's a couple of lanes of traffic, and then you'll be able to walk through the trucks at the end. Last but not least, we're going to have to use the right trigger one last time to stop this large tractor trailer once it does spill over. It has to get kind of close to you, so be patient, but just don't be too patient or else it will be too late. If you freezed it successfully, you will be able to now move on to the next area by using the left trigger to clear a path. We're going to actually clear the path through the tractor trailer. This will burrow another tunnel for us. Here, I do believe we need to use the right trigger to just stabilize the floor so that we can walk across and then jump up onto the ledge. And then we can melt our way through the tunnel again. And we should reveal another large open room here with that memory ball we were talking about before. And there will be a new memory here, I believe. Yep, so here we are in that large open room. We're gonna drop our flashlight here. Which maybe not the best decision, but we haven't made a lot of good decisions throughout the game, so what's one more? Walk up to the memory ball in front of us, and this time we'll interact with the little slot on the left-hand side. We'll see what memory is inside here. Once it opens up and shows you a bedroom, you can basically use the left trigger to make the moonlight light up the room, and making it blue. Sorry, what happened here? Oh, the little boy wakes up after the moon moves out of the way. Then we can move over to the right-hand side and turn the light blue again, which will swallow up the room. And that's the most we can do for this memory at the moment. Again, the spaceship will come down and melt us through the ground. And we will swim up to the surface of the water and then swim to the right-hand side. The reflection on the water in this scene is impeccably good. I really was curious as to what kind of method they used to light it. I thought they might have actually used pictures of real water reflections and just like kind of put it on there as a texture. Either way, I like the way this scene looks quite a bit. But if you just swim all the way to the right, you'll end up by a ladder where you can climb up onto a dock. You may recognize this area, although it looked very different the last time we were here. This is the kind of landing carrier that we were on earlier when we were brought to the testing facility. So the testing facility is basically inside of this carrier underneath us, but we are now able to actually walk on the top of it. And we're going to walk to the right-hand side to where that little balcony is with that one character at the very far end. And here we'll be joined by the blue character, the red character, and the purple character. And, yeah, I don't know. This game got pretty artsy-fartsy pretty quickly. I love artsy-fartsy games, by the way. Even if I don't fully understand them, they make me think, and they're pretty unique, so... This game definitely has unique and thought-provoking as its two biggest selling points, in my opinion. We're now going to hold hands with the purple, and this will actually allow us to get the purple ability, which we didn't really have up until now. We did experiment with it during the research facility segment, but we never actually had the ability to use it until right this second. We were actually just able to destroy one of the memory blocks using that purple ability, and that's kind of what we're going to do for these next couple of scenes. We're getting pretty close to the ending of the game. I think we're within about 5 minutes now of one of the endings. And then we can just kind of cycle all of the endings really quickly. So we're just going to be reloading chapters for all of the different endings. Walk up to the memory sphere. Connect to it using the right-hand side here. Once connected, what we're going to do is we're going to use the left trigger to melt the room again. But this time we're going to reveal an orb in the middle that glows purple. So if you use your left and right trigger, you'll pick up that orb. And the purple light basically destroys things. It will destroy this orb in this memory and destroy the actual kind of memory within it. I am calling them memory orbs, although what's inside of them isn't necessarily a memory. I think that's open to interpretation, whether it's a vision of someone else, a memory of your own youth, or even an insight into the future. How you interpret these spheres is really up to you. To me, I think they're memory spheres, but I'm honestly not really sure. Here we can put our arm into the next memory, use the left trigger to again melt the floor. Upon melting the floor, you reveal another purple orb in the middle of the room. Use both of the triggers to make it explode. I do like to specialize on collectibles and achievements and full game walkthroughs. I really love mechanics in games, learning how they work and getting through the game. I will say understanding stories is definitely my weak point. I tend to zone out pretty easily, and sometimes I just miss the pretty obvious clues in storytelling. So maybe I'm missing something here with the story, but to me, I've tried my best to kind of explain what I'm looking at. We're going to walk up to this next kind of memory sphere, or whatever you want to call it, connect to the left-hand side. This time we're going to use the right trigger to stop the bicycle inside of the light. If you miss, don't worry, there will be a second light that will cycle by, and you can, you know, stop the bicycle on that light anytime. It basically just continues forever. Once you do get the kid off the bike, erase the ground to reveal the orb inside. Use both of your triggers to destroy this third memory. These orbs and the colors you use to solve them also have something to do with the solutions for the endings. So what we just did there was blue, blue, red. That's going to be something that we input a couple of times here into the ending of the game for different solutions. This is basically the ending of the game. You're going to mantle up the ledge and walk forward. And this is the scene that we're going to have to basically play like 4 times in order to get all 4 of the remaining endings. They start off pretty easy, but there's some specific inputs you'll need to put in for some of the endings. I will put the inputs on screen so that it's easier to follow if following my voice is harder for some than others. For this first ending, though, it's super simple. This is the War of the Worlds ending. Each ending has an achievement tied to it, so that's why we're going to grab all of them. For War of the Worlds, it's technically a bad ending in my opinion. It's going to be for basically just destroying Earth. So what you're going to do is you're going to walk up to this circle of people, hold the A button to connect hands with everyone, and to destroy the Earth, hold the left and the right trigger, and just keep holding it. This should get an orb to show up from the ground. That orb will blow up. And as far as I understand this ending, Earth is destroyed. Nobody survives. Probably a bad ending, if you had to ask me. Once that happens, the achievement unlocks and the credits will roll. What we can do is exit the game by pausing it and pressing exit. Here, you'll be brought back to the main menu. This is the fastest way to do all of the endings. But from the main menu, just go and press continue again. And you'll be brought back into the game, and you'll be brought back to the section where you're basically holding hands with everyone. You don't have to replay all of Chapter 14. Now for the second ending, it's a good or neutral ending. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with blue, red, blue. Blue, red, blue. And now 3 times in a row, we're going to do blue, blue, red. Blue, blue, red, blue, blue, red, blue, blue, red. And just doing that 3 times in a row after that first meeting, you will get a second ending. And this ending is called Resignation Reprise. So now that I did, like I said, blue, red, blue, 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 red, blue, blue, red, blue, blue, red, my house just spawned in front of me. And this allows me to get the Resignation Reprise ending, where I join my family back in the home. Although it seems like this is not necessarily the true ending, as the alien civilization is still allowed to live on Earth and basically control everything within it. At least I get to, you know, spend time with my family, I guess. So we're going to go inside of the house. And that is our 3rd out of 5 endings, depending on how you count them. Once you get the achievement, pause the game, press exit, which will bring us back to the main menu. Then press continue from the main menu. Now we're going to grab the family first ending. I'll put the inputs on screen again for you. But we're going to start with repeating what they said to us, which is blue, red, blue. On the second instance, we're going to repeat what they said to us again, which was blue, blue, red. But on the third instance, we're going to change things up, and we're just going to do blue, 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 instead of repeating back what they said to us. Now, shout out to people on True Achievements and the Steam community for figuring out all these endings. I did not figure them out myself. It seems like there's all of these different types of endings where you're communicating with the aliens to decide which ending you get. I don't know how all of them are figured out, although I have some ideas. I don't want to add misinformation. But for this ending, family first ending, you will spawn one of these kind of spheres in front of you. You'll interact with the left sphere and use the left trigger to essentially give up your blue ability. Then you'll be able to interact with the next receptacle and use your right trigger to give up your red ability. This is also what I would call a good ending, but not the true ending. Interact with the third receptacle here, which allows you to give up your purple ability. And in the last ending, you did get to live with your family, but the aliens also got to live. And in this ending, I believe that we destroyed the alien stuff, but in that process we sacrificed ourselves but saved our family and allowed them to live a happy life on Earth. Again, open to interpretation. Maybe I'm completely wrong, who knows? But that will be the family first ending, and then we only have one ending to go, which is the true ending. Now that we got that, pause the game yet again, go to the main menu and press continue. This last one has quite a long solution to it, but I will put it on screen to make it as easy as possible for you. In the first instance, we are going to repeat back blue, red, blue. Now, the second instance we're going to do is blue, 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 purple, purple, purple. This also gets a specific response from them. I think the answer to this riddle, by the way, came from all of the collectibles we grabbed earlier on in the game. I'm pretty sure they gave us clues as to how to answer these towers. The third sequence here is blue, 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 red, purple, purple. Here we are just going to repeat back a lot of what they already said, but we're going to add a little bit of freestyle to this. I don't know if all of these are necessary, but it's what seems to be common knowledge on the internet. The last one is blue, 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 red, purple, purple, red, red, red. This unlocks the understanding ending, the true ending of the game. This seems to be an ending in which you are successfully able to communicate with the aliens. They agree with you and they leave you alone. You and your wife are able to reunite and just go back to having what I believe is just a normal life together. This is what I believe is the true ending because it basically saves Earth, gets rid of the aliens, and it saves yourself and your wife and child and allows you to go back home. So I guess it's kind of the best of everything. After you do reunite with them, a kind of white portal door will open up and we'll be able to walk through that portal door back into what I believe is just, you know, a beautiful, perfect life together. If you watched the video up to this point, I would really appreciate if you dropped a like. It really helps out the channel. It helps the channel grow. Subscribe if you'd like more content like this in the future. Special thanks to everyone on Patreon for supporting the show. I have enabled super thanks for anyone who wants to go above and beyond in supporting the channel financially. Although it's never required, it is very much appreciated. This brings us to our final roll of the credits, as well as 11 out of 11 and 1000 gamer score. Thank you so much for watching the video. I hope it was helpful, and hopefully I see you soon. Peace!